Download this code from codegive.com, link in the description below. Debugging Kubernetes applications can be challenging, especially when dealing with complex interactions between containers, services, and the underlying infrastructure. eBPF, Extended Berkeley Packet Filter, provides a powerful way to observe and manipulate the behavior of the kernel, making it an excellent tool for debugging. Inspektor Gadget is a tool that leverages eBPF to provide observability features for Kubernetes applications. What is eBPF? eBPF is a technology that allows you to run sandboxed programs in the Linux kernel without changing kernel code or loading kernel modules. With eBPF, you can trace system events, monitor network traffic, and gather performance metrics, making it a valuable tool for debugging and observability. What is Inspektor Gadget? Inspektor Gadget is a tool designed to make it easier to use eBPF for debugging Kubernetes applications. It provides a set of gadgets, which are predefined eBPF programs that you can use to gather information about your clusters, applications, and the Linux kernel. Prerequisites. Before you can use eBPF and Inspektor Gadget, you'll need 1. A Kubernetes cluster, Minikube, EKS, GKE, etc. 2. Kubectl installed and configured to interact with your cluster. 3. Helm installed to deploy Inspektor Gadget. 4. A Linux kernel that supports eBPF, kernel version equals 4.1. Installing Inspektor Gadget. 1. Add the Helm repository *bash. Helm repo add gadget https://falcosecurity.github.io/gadget. Helm repo update. 2. Install Inspektor Gadget in your Kubernetes cluster *bash. Helm install Inspektor Gadget /Inspektor Gadget namespace Kuba system. 3. Verify the installation *. Check that the Inspektor Gadget pods are running. Bash. Kubectl get pods and Kuba system. Using Inspektor Gadget. Inspektor Gadget comes with several gadgets that you can use for debugging. Here's how to use some of them. 1. Observing network traffic with the network gadget. You can use the network gadget to observe network traffic to and from a specific pod. Bash. Kubectl gadget network pod name namespace. Replace pod name and namespace with the name and namespace of your target pod. This command will give you an overview of the network traffic. 2. Tracing function calls with the trace gadget. You can trace the function calls of a specific application to see where it might be failing. Bash. Kubectl gadget trace pod name namespace function name. Replace function name with the name of the function you want to trace. This will help you diagnose issues in your application logic. 3. Using kprobe to observe kernel events. You can use kernel probes, kprobes, to observe events in the kernel. For example, to trace when the exec system call is made. Bash. Kubectl gadget kprobe function execv. This command will provide you with logs of every time the exec function is called, which can help in understanding what processes are being executed. Example scenario: debugging a pod crash. Let's say you have a pod that crashes frequently. You can use Inspektor Gadget to gather information. 1. Use the trace gadget *bash. Kubectl gadget trace pod myapp pod namespace function my_function. Replace myapp pod, myapp namespace, and my_function with the relevant names. 2. Check the logs *. After running the trace, look at the logs to see if there are any errors or exceptions being thrown in the application code. 3. Use the network gadget *. If you suspect network issues, you can also monitor the network traffic. Bash. Berkeley gadget network pod myapp pod namespace myapp namespace. 4. Analyze the output asterisk. Analyze the output from both the trace and network gadgets to identify the root cause of the crashes. Conclusion. Using eBPF and inspektor gadget provides powerful tools for debugging Kubernetes applications. By leveraging the capabilities of eBPF, you can gain insights into your application's behavior, performance, and interactions with the kernel and network. This tutorial has covered the installation of inspektor gadget and provided examples of how to use its various features to debug issues in your Kubernetes clusters. Further reading. Inspektor gadget documentation, https://gadget.inspector.dev. eBPF documentation, https://ebpf.io. Kubernetes documentation, https://kubernetes.io/docs/home.